But everyone's out there today,
except for Taylor Hurst?
Minus Taylor Hurst, unfortunately.
So what's the latest on his injury? Because it looked like he had suffered perhaps a wrist injury.
He's got a bit of a sore wrist and a bit of a sore ankle, so he's out of it for this today.
So here we go, racing, very, very exciting. 8 laps, race 2. And of course, a dramatic finish right after the checkered flag yesterday, with a couple of prangs right past the start-finish line. So who knows what's going to happen again today. And Chris Simon, after all of that drama, managed to whip up and get another win.
Yeah, I talked to Chris this morning as he's going to lead out onto the back straight. I talked to him this morning and I said, 4 from 4, do you reckon you can go 5 from 5? And he gave me this funny look of go away. So,
I don't want any pressure.
So he's definitely feeling a little bit of pressure, but he's really enjoying the fact that he can actually be out in front and hopefully extend his championship lead.
And the likes of Brodie McConkey and also Billy Fraser, he was also tied up in that last-minute tangle. He looks like he's recovered.
Yeah, so Billy actually, even though he had a spin and hit the wall just where the pit crossing is, they managed to fix that car last night. There's a few people from around the pits that chipped in, and he's out there and going for it today, running there in third.
So it's Simon, McConkey, Fraser, Boniface, Smith, Hendel, Cox, Carter, Foster, Holden, Davey, Cyrano, Murphy, Ronan Murphy. So how's Ronan going after getting used to sort of racing here at Puke?
Yeah, he's still getting used to it. It's like, this is completely different here. Kettle of fish here to Manfield. He's done 5 rounds there at Manfield, and this is just hugely different. The draft is so massive around here, and as Chris Simon, a bit of a wobble there through turn 1. The toe is so great, and it goes all the way down through the field.
Yes, the Manfield's got that lovely flow about it, isn't it? It's a very fluid track, and one corner mixes into the next one, as well this is straight out power.
As we say, there's not really much driving here. There's 2 corners where we brake, and the rest is full throttle. We worked it out to be the high 80% full throttle around here, as they are actually flat all the way through turn 1 at about 175 k an hour.
So these are 1200cc V-dub motors, and you're really hanging on to it, aren't you?
They are absolutely screaming by the end of the back straight. A lot of the old motor barely pulled 4,000 revs, and these are doing about 6.5, 6.7 down the end of the back straight.
So after 50 years of this formula of motor racing, have there been many changes, despite saying it's gone from Formula V to Formula First, which was basically a name change because this should be the first formula that young drivers use to create their pathway to Formula One?
It was actually quite interesting last night watching some of the old videos as Billy Fraser tries to take the lead. There was the racing actually hasn't changed much.
Yeah.
The cars may have changed, look slightly more modern. A few have got data loggers and that sort of stuff to try and help driver progress. But the actual formula hasn't changed, and it's really great to see that after 50 years, the formula hasn't changed, the racing hasn't changed. It's just about probably the age of the drivers that have changed a little bit.
And probably the learnings you get from this formula of motor racing hasn't changed as well. So the lessons those young guys got 50 years ago are exact same lessons they're getting with the young guys 50 years later.
Yeah, well, exactly. Because we're running on a road tyre, there's no actual grip from them, so it's all mechanical. The driver's actually got to work. This is going to get 4 wide. This is going to get real dicey.
4 wide going into the hairpin. And that desire to win hasn't changed after 50 years, has it?
No, it hasn't. No.
And the red mist.
Hedelcox has somehow dived into the lead. He's come from about 4th place. He's now going to lead them over the hill. So the actual grip and changes that you can make to the car make it more of a driver's car. If you can drive a car well, you'll do well here. High-speed game of chess, especially around here at Pukekohe, you'll be looking to make sure you're in the right spot on the last lap.
Look at this. We've only had 2 laps, and they're spreading out all around the track, down the start-finish line. Looks like it's McConkey, who once again has taken advantage of that slipstreaming in the drafting, and he's grabbed the lead from Hendel Cox in 19. Chris Simon in the bright yellow fluoro, number 28 out of Palmerston North, is holding on from Thomas Boniface. Oh. Billy Fraser, 14, getting a bit wide onto the ripples. Amy Smith. What about the gearboxes? Have they changed? No?
Yeah, still a standard Volkswagen, 4-speed. So we actually use most tracks we go to. It's just 3rd and 4th once they're away racing. But here we actually have to use 2nd at the hairpin. It's that tight. So it's a little bit of a new skill. It's a big heel and toe. Oh, just looking in the background, they're 3 wide as well, racing for sheep stations. So it's a simple gearbox. There's nothing flash about it, but it's just all about this driving and driving the car smooth. keeping the speed up, and it doesn't matter where you're racing, as the cars racing down in 8th, 9th and 10th are racing just as hard as these guys racing for first.
Brody McConkey was right on target for that, a good result yesterday. And what happened in the last lap?
Well, it all happened, really. He ended up second. He thought I was talking to Chris Simon this morning as they barrel across the line. Talking to Chris Simon this morning, he actually thought that Brody would have got him on the line, but he just pipped him by about a tenth of a second, and then from Reece Endelcox. That's getting a bit close here at turn 1 for this pack.
Just keeping an eye on these young drivers, keen, eager, and you've got to be careful where you position yourself coming around the famous iconic turn 1 at Pukekohe, because it can get a little bit slippy. As you can see, different battle packs all trying to do the same thing though. So it's McConkey still out in front, coming down towards the hairpin. Simon getting the draft. Will he pull out and duck down on the inside? And here comes Billy Fraser. Hendel Cox from Edgecombe. Has he got the edge down there to make a move? And Amy Smith. McConkey's still got a little wee break now. Simon.
So this will show the draft. If you look at Simon, he's quite a way back from McConkey, but as we build over the hill, and there's actually a little bit of a breeze out there. They had a headwind yesterday, so the draft was huge. So over the hill, it actually looks like a big gap, but there is a bit of a draft there, and he'll be actually getting a bit of a push here from Billy Fraser as well. Billy's going to dive to the inside, and you'll find that by the time they get to turn 4, they'll probably catch Brody.
The wind.
Oh, there's a touch there.
Oh, hang on to it. Good skills, Billy Fraser. Chris Simon. And you got it. Just one little touch on the wheel too can end in disaster. The effect of the wind, and especially if it's like a crosswind.
Yeah, we had a tailwind down the back straight and a headwind up the front straight yesterday, and that was the draft was huge down the front straight. The guys were saying yesterday. I've put the mockers on Brody. He's actually disappeared out in front now with that little touch in turn 1. But a lot of the guys are actually mainly complaining about the bumps down here in turn 1. It's very bumpy, and if you're in the wrong spot and you hit the wrong bump at the wrong time, it can end in disaster, as it almost did.
Well, we've seen quite a few guys, especially in the 86s, actually missed their braking points going around turn 1 and completely overshooting the corners into 2 and 3.
Chris Simon trying really hard out of the hairpin. He was full crossed up, trying to catch Brody McConkey. They really don't want him to get away. As that second battle pack comes out of the hairpin, they're still fighting for those positions further down. We're side by side over the hill with Boniface and Hendel Cox.
It's all about positioning. Got to be in the right spot, the right time, and sometimes that could be where these guys are now, in second or third spot. Remember, Chris Simon was way back into a battle pack yesterday. He was back in 4th, ended up winning it right on the line. So in this class, at 8 over until the fat lady sings. But I suppose these days there wouldn't be too many of those particular singers around the pits, and they'll be just positioned. Look at McConkey. So he's trying to break.
He's got
that slipstream, isn't he?
And a few people are saying Chris Simon is probably the fastest car down the back straight. So as you can see, that gap, look at Chris gaining all over him now. That gap will close right up into the hairpin as Boniface is trying to basically push Chris Simon up there. And look at that gap, it's basically disappeared as Boniface locks a brake.
So he's now grabbed second spot, so whatever they did overnight with that particular car seemed to have worked for him.
Yeah, so he's one of our rookies, as you can see with the orange number there, new innovation from Formula First this year. The orange number is denoting the rookies. And Boniface, Brody McConkey's got away a little bit here.
So the question is, the last lap board should be coming out now. And there it goes. So this is going to be all on for Brody McConkey from the Kapiti Coast. Boniface, Simon, Fraser, Hendel Cox. Oh, hang on to it. Time for some drafting and some slipstreaming. And who's going to position themselves as Boniface is now closed in.
Yep, as you would have seen across the line, all the drivers just switched their heads off and they're going to go for it now. We've got a lap to go. And it's all on the back straight. And all the positions are still to play for right through the field. This big battle pack in second, for the second group is still on. Wouldn't mind seeing what's going on up front, Mr. Director, but thank you.
You're going to be seeing all of that, and it's Boniface making a move. Fraser's making a move. Oh, he's got tagged by Simon. And luckily he stayed away
Fraser's
from the
on the
wall.
infield. So Simon's got damage. He's just locked up into the hairpin.
Boniface has grabbed the lead of the hairpin. Simon's got a a wobbly car. Hendel Cox is ducked down the inside. McConkey's going to go from first to third. He's going to try and hang on for second. They're going to be too wide going over the hill. McConkey's come back.
Try and pick it, Clint. Who's it going to be?
Thomas Boniface is going to have the smile on the face as he races down towards that checkered flag, and McConkey is trying to grab him right on the line. It's got to be Boniface.
Boniface by 1/100th of a second. How about that?
He will have a smile on his face. Brody McConkey will be saying, "Not again, not again." And Chris Simon, he'll just be saying, "Man, I'm lucky to be there," because after that tangle with poor Billy Fraser, he'll be saying, "What?"
Yeah, I actually thought there was a bit of damage to Chris Simon. It looks like it was just a racing incident down there. They're all trying to jockey for position. I don't think there'll be anything in it.
Well, it looked like a starting grid. You had, like, you know, two wide, 1, 2, 3 rows, and they were into the hairpin.
Yeah,
full tip.
Really looked like they were looking for Noah's Ark there for a minute, the way they were going side by side for that half of the lap. But that's the classic thing about Pukekohe and Formula First racing, is it is that close. And you can see by the timing chart there's 6 cars within a second.
1:13.9, the fastest time by Boniface. The last lap, they're all doing 1:15s. The top 5, 1:15, 2, 5, 1, 1, 1. So, once again, a great celebration too for Formula First racing and Formula V racing. You've got the shirt there, 50 years. So,
yeah, so
enjoyable night.
It was a very enjoyable night. It was great seeing we had about 140, 150 people there last night, and people from all ranges through it. We had the very first champion join us, as well as Callum Corley, last year's champion, and a whole lot of them in between. I think we had 11 or 12 there last night. And it was a really great celebration of not only the racing, but actually the people behind the scenes. I know there was actually a standing ovation, and she deserves it, for Steph Harris. She's been 25 years as the series, basically the series coordinator, and does all of the admin behind it. And all these people, including Dennis Martin, Dom Kalashi, Ray Whiting, Dave Scammell, there was the Shepherd family, all that have done so much for the class over the years, on the track, off the track, and behind the scenes. And it was really great just to celebrate all that heritage that the class has got.
And if you get yourself a copy of the program, you can see why Formula First racing has been such a great, successful Formula 4 New Zealand Motorsport, the likes of Scott, the Giz, Brendan Hartley, Richie Stanaway, Mitch Evans, and good luck to the Evans guys with Evan, Mitch and Simon. Owen Evans was here yesterday, and they're flying off for the E-Trophy with the Jaguar team for Mitch and Simon. And I think that's really cool. Both those guys have done all of our series, from the V8s to Formula 1600 and Formula First, right through to the Toyota Racing Series with Mitch. And here they are doing the Formula E stuff overseas together, two brothers. It's brilliant. Nick Cassidy, of course, Super GT champion out of Japan, racing for the Lexus team. Liam Lawson in there as well. So if you get yourself a copy of the program, you've got all that history.
No, I just kept my cool. Made sure I planned ahead for the next move that I was going to do. But it was a good race. I mean, the drivers all drove really well and close and fair. So I'm really happy with what happened today. And thanks to my dad for doing all the mechanic work.